colleagues, it is my pleasure to see you all, to welcome you all. Thank you for your introduction, Andrea. We'll say a few words about the work we've been doing, and I would like to start with this very busy scheme that shows what's happening when you try to use AI technologies in law. What often happens. We often work with texts written in natural languages, trying to restore the formal and logical representation. Then we would be using that for making conclusions, and then we use natural language again to express ourselves and express our logics. That's the kind of logic that has been used for centuries. The Hammurabi Law was one example, and it's natural for us, but it's not natural in terms of artificial intelligence. But that's because when you have to reverse the logical model back and forth, when you work with the text, you have losses that come up, and that same thing happens with the humans. And what you see in the right-hand side, the case law, is quite different from what was meant when we tried to create those regulatory documents. The president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, said today that artificial intelligence systems are like children, therefore they cannot really contend to become president. But today I will talk about how can we allow them to stop being children, and our approach is to start using this formal and logical model when working between various logical processes. We believe that law has to be straightforward, simple to use, and fair. And with the development of AI, the natural language fits less and less this purpose, because the difficult concepts that emerge cannot be expressed by the natural language. And when the Ministry of Justice tries to find real conflicts, legal conflicts in its body of legal acts and laws, it's quite natural, because you cannot use the same language to describe them all. And we believe that these norms and rules can be used using machine-readable law, and they need to be understandable, they need to be transparent, and they need to remove conflicts and controversies. In other words, we're talking about the ease of use of AI systems, and at the same time, we're talking about the use of the language that artificial systems will be able to understand, because some of the limitations that we've just discussed, all of those UNESCO requirements that have been brought up, and all of the other regulatory documents that they have been written using a language that artificial systems, intelligence systems, do not understand. In addition to the concept document that had been developed, and a lot of people have already been involved in the discussion, I will invite all of you to take part in this, we've conducted a number of experiments with machine-readable representation of legal texts, and we want them to develop together or in parallel with the natural language texts, using the same terminology that will be based on the thesaurus that is used for the development of legal documents. And we will also experiment with the formal perceptions that we have quite a lot of that have emerged over the last 20 years. And I would like to say that none of them have become really that popular and common, but it's not about devising a new representation, but rather it's about making the work of professional lawyers easier. In addition, we have a great number of new services that might emerge. The most important of them is the so-called auto-compliance. For example, we have a working prototype that allows you to evaluate an agreement to share personal data in terms of machine readability, predictability of the use of case law. And of course, this is just a prototype, and we would need to further improve it. And we work with the Code of Ethics, something that Anna Serebrennikova alluded to. We wanted to go beyond being just a declaration, but rather something applicable for machine-readable law purposes. And the concept covers several areas. Of course, it's certification and standardization, because this is the area where the exact terminology the use of language are very important. Plus, you would be able to use machine-readable format for deals, for executing agreements, and that will be something that will allow the weaker partner, the weaker party to a contract to protect their interests, and it will be something that will be also improve the conditions for that. Plus, you also need to have oversight and control. Plus, you need to use those technologies in the judiciary through various digital platforms. The concept has 3 phases it will go through. They are quite comfortable time-wise for the federal bodies of executive power. And the very first step, or very first phase, will include a number of experiments that will be conducted in various areas, and we're now discussing what they're going to be. We're talking about that with the stakeholders, and I would like to thank you, dear colleagues.